And look at our Head Reaper going crazy. Look at our Berserker freezing all of the enemies. G'day, Josh here with another Chess Rush build video, and this one was actually brought to me by a YouTube comment a few videos ago by Moises, and I'll leave a version of his comment on the screen so you can actually see the exact build specifications as he suggested. The core of it is essentially 4 goblins, 4 beasts. Goblins are very, very popular in the current meta, and you don't need any featured heroes to use them. But one of the key beasts, Martial Lord, you do, so you will need to be using featured heroes in this specific build. A couple of them, and you'll see those at the end of the game. But it can be tricky to build if everyone in the lobby is competing for goblins, and you need to make sure that you find the 1 and 2 cost goblins, Hog Rider and Voodoo Elder, fairly early to pull it off. But if you get the pieces, it's a very, very powerful build, as you will see as this game comes together. So let's jump through and have a look at some of the battles as they unfold. I'm starting to collect beasts at this stage. I don't have any of the goblins just yet. And normally in Turbo, my preference is to level quite aggressively so that I'm one of the first players in the lobby getting the picks at the 4 cost heroes, because they're usually the most game breaking. But sometimes you do need to adjust that strategy to ensure that you are getting the pieces you need for your build. That is, of course, if you're trying to force a build. That's the way some people prefer to play, as we get a pretty good shot and find 2 Voodoo Elders. Typically speaking, unless I'm testing out a build, I will try and be a little bit more reactive based on what the shop gives me. It is a little bit challenging doing that with the way that featured heroes works though, so obviously you have to keep that in mind. So Ice Tusk is another one of those featured heroes that's in this build. Bangar obviously is not. So we actually have 3 of our 4 required beasts already. The one remaining is Martial Lord. Of course, he's another 2 cost. So looking for Hog Rider and Martial Lord still, and it's worth noting that you have your best chance of finding those 2 cost heroes early in the game. As I go from level 4 to level 5, still at 35% chance, but at level 6 it drops to a 30% chance. So you want to make sure that you actually do spin the shop a little bit. At level 5 is kind of the level 4 if you're still looking for the 1 cost, but I like level 5 as a little bit of a compromise because it gives you a little bit more chance to find the 3 cost heroes as well. But it just depends on what you're prioritizing, the 1 cost or the 3 cost. And so at this stage we're level 5, and now we can have a look at actually level 6. Sorry, my mistake. Level 6 is also still 35%. It's after level 6 that drops off. So you want to be actually actively spinning the shop up to level 7 essentially. And there's a very nice 2-star for us. I've got 3 assassins on the board. So at this point in time, this is still the early game. We're in the process of finding all of our pieces. Like any normal game, you just use whatever strong combos and 2-star heroes you can come up with at this stage. So I'm using the 2-star Famine, obviously, because I've been able to 2-star her. I'm using 3 assassins because I've been able to find those. And you're just trying to chain together wins. Being Turbo, of course, you do get the +2 crystal bonus for winning a round. So generally speaking, winning is the best strategy in Turbo. And you're just trying to chain together as many wins as possible until you can get your entire build together. So let's jump through to the round 7 battle. And you can see that I do have, of course, a 2-star Hog Rider on the board now, as well as an extra Hog Rider on my bench. I'm normally not trying to 3-star 1 cost heroes. That's just my personal preference, but I will pick up extra copies of them if I find them early, because sometimes it just happens. But I won't ever try and force a 3-star 1 cost hero. I much prefer to 3-star the 4 cost heroes later in the game. And so, the current build, I don't actually have 2 beasts on the board, but I think I do end up doing that soon. But the current build essentially is 3 assassins, 2 goblins, 2 undead, until I can get a few more slots in my levels to get more heroes on the board. And there is another nice upgrade for us. Let's jump through to the round 8 battle. So we did lose 1 game early on, that's why we're on 57 HP. But other than that, we've been pretty lucky. But it doesn't look so promising this time around. Unfortunately, just a slightly better build at this stage. And that 2-star Nightingale is so strong early in the game as well. And let's jump through to round 9. The build hasn't really changed that much. A couple more 2 stars on the board. In fact, maybe just one more 2-star on the board. We get pretty lucky in that there is a player, actually probably best to say it this way, that wasn't playing the game actively for some reason, and we actually queued up into them at that point in time. We unfortunately don't win against the one undefeated player still in the lobby, but that's okay. Let's jump through to round 11. And actually, no, we'll continue skipping through until things mix up a little bit. So here we are at round 12. And this doesn't really look like the end game build yet, but it's just because of the pieces that we're finding. You can see that I have finally found a Marsh Lord, but I've only got the one of him. He's only a single Marsh Lord, obviously at a 1-star, so it's not fantastic. I do now have 2 beasts on the board as well, which is giving that 8% attack boost. The other part of this build will be 3 warriors. One of those obviously is Ice Tusk. Another one is Bangar. Maybe I'm misremembering that because I don't have Bangar. I thought I had him earlier. Am I looking? Yes. Okay, I'm a little bit confused. Bangar seems to have... No, he's still there. Why wasn't he showing up? Maybe it's just me, but I feel like since the latest update, the replay feature has been a little bit bugged. But anyway, there you can see that I now have 3 beasts. The combos appear to be correct again. So I've got Bangar, I've got Ice Tusk. In fact, everyone on the board now is at a 2-star for me. And once I get to level 9, I'll be able to throw Marsh Lord out and I will actually have 4 beasts. And that way, oh, there we go. I make the swap there, actually. So Famine isn't a part of this build. And you see there that it's time to make the change. Round 13, I commit to 4 beasts. I've got the 3 assassins. I'm still looking, though, for Head Reaper as my Goblin Assassin and Berserker as my Goblin Warrior. And that will give me 3 warriors as well. So now that I'm level 9, I have a much better chance of finding those 4-cost goblins. And as this battle unfolds, we once again run into a 2-star Nightingale in a Punisher build. But our Beast build is coming together very nicely, even though we gave up a 2-star Famine just to put in a 1-star Marsh Lord. It's pretty powerful at the moment. And as we have a look at what everyone else is building, we're ahead on levels, which is fantastic. And we don't have too much competition for goblins. There's a couple of others that have got 2 goblins. You can see that both of the featured heroes we're currently using, Ice Tusk and Marsh Lord, are both 1- and 2-cost heroes. So you want to be activating your featured heroes from the very start of the game to prioritize finding those. Let's jump into the round 14 battle. We're still looking for those 4-cost goblins. But we're doing pretty well. We're at round 14. We're still on 44 HP. Running into a 3-star, a couple of 3-star heroes in this build actually, from our opponent. But you can see there, once again, we're able to get the damage done. Our current DPS leader is Venom, of course, up there at the top. Now we won't end up using, I think it's Stinger we give up on with this build. We keep Siren because we have Oceanborn with Kraken or Shark if we're able to upgrade Kraken to Sharkaraka. But we will end up replacing Stinger with Head Reaper as our Goblin Assassin. We don't use Undead in this build. Normally I do like running Undead in most builds, but in this specific build, you'd have to do a bit of tweaking to fit it in. Let's skip through to... You can see that we're still 6 of us in the lobby, and there's my first 4-cost Goblin, and I commit pretty quickly. Oh, there we go. I was trying to remember what happened then. So yeah, I don't give up on the 2-star Stinger just yet. I'm 1 crystal away. I made a slight mathematical error there. You saw that happen live. 1 crystal away from being able to get to level 10, but just by finishing this round, I will naturally get 2 XP, and next round I will be at level 10. I will be able to get Head Reaper out on the board as well. How do we do against this build? Given that I'm still a couple of goblins short from the full build, and having 4 goblins is a big difference over having 2, that's for sure. It's going to be a narrow loss here. Actually, not quite narrow. That takes us down to 34 HP. And now, round 17, we are now at level 10. I've got Head Reaper on the board as well. And you can see at the top left there, I managed to find Berserker as well, because I've now got 4 goblins, 4 beasts, 3 warriors, 3 assassins, 2 warlock, and 2 oceanborn. So this is the full build. But it's unfortunately not quite enough there because I don't have 2-star versions of my 4-cost goblins just yet. So I do go down to 13. So things are getting a little bit dicey. It's also worth noting I upgraded Kraken to Shakaraka, and I also have Hog Rider. So I've got 2 hunters. If you can manage to get the item that upgrades or adds the hunter class, it's definitely worth putting it on Berserker to make him a goblin hunter as well. Activates 3 hunters, makes his attack speed go crazy. The other key items, of course, are icicle bows, which I've got on these 2 assassins, freezes enemy heroes. The problem is, I think it's also the short bow that upgrades to add hunter. So you need to get quite a few of these short bows to really maximize this build. So how are we looking? Round 18, we're down to 5 left in the lobby. And things are looking a little bit better against this build. Shakaraka's ult is so good as well. One of the best legendaries in the game at the moment. And that's a pretty comfortable win for us. How do we do against the bottom player? We take them down to 3 HP. Alright, so round 19. Let's have a look at the board. Let's see what we're up against. Lots of Punisher builds. You can see that there. Top build is a Punisher build. We are way behind on value too at this stage because we haven't 2-starred any of our expensive units, but that will come. So it's nice to know that we are competing even though our value is lower. And yeah, 2-starring those goblins is going to be key. And there's the first one. 2-star Berserker. Fantastic. That makes a big difference. And let's look at the DPS charts this battle. Ooh, we have a 3-star Nightingale and a 3-star Hog Rider on the other side of the board. But look at that Berserker doing his thing, and he's not yet a hunter. Spoiler, he does become a hunter by the end of this build. So unfortunately, he doesn't do quite... He does have that... well, actually, no, this might... Yes, this is the round where the Icicle Staff comes in key. The Icicle Bow, sorry. And he ends up clutching that 1v3 in the end. That was a very, very handy 1v3. But he's not yet a hunter. We've given him Gale Armor. He's got the Icicle Bow. And now we're adjusting some things. Oh no, we didn't end up adjusting anything. He's got the HP helmet there as well. I think it's this round we end up getting another short bow. And this is a little bit lucky, and you can see that I'm saving that blacksmith tool. There's the short bow. So now I'm able to upgrade that short bow to the Hunter's Longbow, and I can now give Berserker the Hunter class as well as the Icicle Bow, and things get pretty broken at this stage. And you're going to see that in the next battle. So let's watch the equipments happen here. We upgrade him to Hunter. There it is. He gets the Icicle Bow and the Gale Armor as well, which makes it even harder to kill him. His attack speed is going to be crazy by default, 0.7, but Hunter and Goblin buffs are going to make that absolutely crazy. So let's skip to the battle and let's watch Berserker go crazy. His attack speed maxing out at 0.2, and his ability is firing off so regularly because of the amount of mana that he's generating. And if we close that, let's look at the DPS that's coming out of him as well. Absolutely our DPS leader. Just basically freezing so many of the enemies that they simply can't attack. And Head Reaper is absolutely dominating for us. And that moves us up into 2nd position now with 2 enemies still surviving. So a guaranteed positive rank points, which is awesome. Let's look at the 2 builds we're up against. Both Punisher builds. Both with better value than us, and both with multiple 3-stars, but they are, of course, pretty cheap 3-star heroes. Okay, how do we do this time around? We basically can't afford another loss at this stage, being on 13 health, round 22 in a turbo game. Unless it's a very, very narrow loss, it will be elimination. But we are dominating. Head Reaper is going... Sorry, Berserker is going crazy. Doing so much DPS. Venom doing a fair chunk as well as Head Reaper. And now we're in final 2. And look at this. We've got the Scorching Staff on my Shark. Like in the video, if you haven't seen it already, how to set enemies on fire, I have a Shakaraka that's added the Punisher class in a Punisher build, and he has Scorching Staff, and he's setting the entire enemy board on fire. It's amazing. Go and check that video out if you haven't already seen it. But I'm doing the same thing here. I'm giving him the Scorching Staff. Berserker is a hunter. He's got the Icicle Bow. Venom has the Icicle Bow. This is a very, very crazy build, and this is the final remaining opponent. It's got 25 HP. Unfortunately, my Shakaraka gets frozen to oblivion then and doesn't get his ability off. But My Head Reaper is still up, and look at the DPS coming out of Siren as well. Berserker, I keep getting Head Reaper and Berserker confused. But the Icicle Bow on Berserker is just so strong, and I think it ended up... No, Venom still has the other one. And this could very well be the final battle. 13 to 12, I've taken the final position now. See, the enemy also has an Icicle Bow on the Lucifer, which is doing... He doesn't have any demons, I don't think. He doesn't have multiple demons, so thankfully it's not doing splash damage off the bat. And we managed to 2-star our Shakaraka as well, which is fantastic. So let's get into what could be the final battle. Does our Shakaraka get his ability off and set the enemy board on fire? Yes, he does. And look at our Head Reaper going crazy. Look at our Berserker freezing all of the enemies. And they just don't have a chance at this stage. Frozen and dead. It is all over. And that is the win. This is a very, very dominant build. So once again, thank you to Moises for actually... here it is here. Moises? Let me know how to pronounce that correctly. I would like to get that right, but I'm not entirely sure. I believe it's Spanish. There is the build. So with a class changing item, it's also 3 Hunter, but it's not normally 3 Hunter. It is normally 4 Goblin, 4 Beast, and 3 Warrior. And it's definitely wasn't the highest value, but it was the one that won the lobby. So let me know what you think of that build in the comments down below. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Make sure to hit that sub button if you want to help support the channel. And until next time, I'll see you later.